Why don't you tell us a little bit about Broken Yolk Café and how it all got started way back in 1979?
Broken Yolk started in San Diego in 1979. I came in the picture in 1993. It was a business broker selling businesses, and I was looking to find restaurants to sell to my clients. And I came across Broken Yolk, and I kind of liked the hours. I worked before in the restaurants, and I would always work two jobs, working late night. I would never see the sun go down, no time with the kids and then the wife. So when I saw the place closing at 3 o'clock, I figured, you know what, that would be a great business for me. So I approached the owner and I asked him, if he wanted to sell it to me instead of putting it on the market, selling somebody else. Anyways, to make a long story short, he was hot and cold, and I would visit him every, a few weeks. And one day he got in trouble. I don't know, some personal stuff, and I got the phone call. And I had no money, and he said, well, it would take so much money to pay some back bills and some taxes owed. And I go, okay. So I went home, and I told my wife, I go, honey, we're going to buy the restaurant. She says, what? I go, yeah. The one that you've been after for a year and a half? I go, yes. And I go, how much money we have in the bank? And she says, well, we have $2,000. Well, I go, we need to cash in all our credit cards.
Oh my God.
And you know what? Now you're going to ask me, why did you have like so many credit cards? I have maybe, I don't know, like 8 or 9 or 10, something. It's because a few years earlier, I would go to seminars and they would just try to teach us how to buy a home with no money down, but you need credit. So I would just accumulate credit cards. So I was a good listener to the person that was giving the seminar. Now all of a sudden these seminars these credit cards come in handy. So I convinced the wife to take all the money out. And the next day, I went with a cashier's check and I put it down. And of course, there was another loan that I had to take over my name, etc. But I made the deal.
No way.
So I walked in. The place was already closed for 2 weeks. And I called in all the employees back, and they came gladly back. And we went to work. Now, the first couple of weeks, business was not that great. The traffic was not there. So I am thinking, what am I going to do? I'm up to my neck with debt. And all of a sudden, I looking at a Rolodex that's sitting on the desk in the back by the storeroom area where I had a little office. And you remember the Rolodex. Actually, right now, it's right behind me. It's not going anywhere. It's right there, And I had all these business cards from people that I met, etc. So I opened the Rolodex. I called the first person. I don't know what his name, Dave, James, whatever. And I go, listen, I bought a restaurant. I'm no longer a business broker. Well, take the family and come over the weekend, whenever you have a day off. The weekend come, and then I called, of course, I don't know, 40, 50 more people. And the weekend comes and the place starts filling up. I had 3 servers on, and they're looking at me like they never seen this place so busy. So I would go from table to table. I would take the ticket, put it in my back pocket, and say, thank you for coming, thank you for, and please come again. Again, it would be on the house, it would be on me. And they took advantage of that, which was great. And I created some traffic. That same day that it happened for the first time, my wife was working for Union Bank, and she would come in and do the cash at 3 p.m. So at closing time, I'm helping on the front, and she yells my name, and I go in the office, and I go, what's going on, honey? And she says, there's something wrong with the cash. There is some money missing. There's some tickets missing. Something is wrong. I go, here it is. And I reach out to my back pocket and I take something like 40 or 50 tickets and I go, here you go. These are all comps. She said, what? I go, yes. And we're going to do that tomorrow and the next week and so on. Frank, everybody talks about marketing. Let me tell you about marketing. To me, that was the best marketing I've ever done because we built some traffic and we created a momentum, and the momentum never stopped. You know,
wow.
And that's my story on that.
John, that is a masterclass right there in just good old guerrilla marketing, just doing it right and not having to be so creative and innovative.
Guerrilla marketing, and I've read that book many years ago.
Yeah, I remember that. And you know, when you were talking about buying homes, no money down, remember that was Carlton Sheets. Remember that guy on TV and the infomercial?
There were so many. Yes, that's
there were
right.
a lot.
And you know, they were trying to sell us their books and their cassette tapes, you know.
Yeah.
And I bought that stuff. You know, I still have them in my garage in a box. And you know what, Frank? I never opened them. But the fact that I went there, they changed my mentality.
Wow.
You know?
How long were you a business broker for?
I was a business broker for about 8 years. I sold a few restaurants to some Italians, some Greeks, and all kinds of people. That's what, you know, our people like to be in business. And,
right.
Yeah.
Wow. And what were some of the most popular businesses that you were brokering?
Most of them, I'm going to tell you, I sold a closed restaurant to this Asian lady, Chinese to be more specific. And this lady was a server. I was 25 years old. She was 45. And I mean, okay, I did have an accent, you know, more than I do now. And but she could barely speak English, and she was buying a closed restaurant, and I mean we're in escrow, and the commission that I was going to make, it was going to be enough for me to pay my rent the full year. But I was living in a 2-bedroom apartment back then, and you know what? I thought that this lady was going to lose her money, so I call her in the office and I tell her, I go, her American name was Annie. I go, Annie, I don't think you should buy the restaurant. Of course, I'm shooting myself on the foot, right?
Yeah, you're the business broker.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're saying, don't buy it.
Exactly. And she says, why? Well, I go, you're going to have a hard time. It's difficult in the restaurant business. I just didn't want to see the lady losing her money.
Wow.
And she realized that this wasn't talking. Instead, this is what it was talking. And she turned around and she said, John, if I fall down, I pretend looking for something, I get up and walk again. That was another wake-up call for me. So which means, basically, don't be afraid of failure.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, people are afraid of failure. That's why they don't move forward. You know, they don't do anything. They don't want to take the risk. And guess what? That Annie lady, she still owns the restaurant since 1985. Okay? 40 years.
That's amazing. And she was like, you said she was like 45 years old at the time?
Yes, correct.
That's incredible. One of the big lessons we try to teach young people is take more risk when you're young. You can recover from more risk, right?
That's right. That's exactly right. When people ask me, what should I do? Whatever it is that you want to do, go out there and do it. Don't be afraid. That's what I tell them. What do you got to lose? Time? Right. You're young, you know, no big deal.
Right.
You know, absolutely.
Yeah. It's unfortunate that a lot of people don't get encouraged even at a young age to risk and fail and try things out because their friends or their family, they just don't want to see them fail. And, you know, they don't want them to be risk takers because they don't see for themselves, I guess.
What do they say? If you don't cross the street, you don't smell the roses.
That's true. Thank you for tuning into the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. For additional insights, guest applications, and to stay connected, visit us at efbpodcast.com. The Emerging Franchise Brands podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and the views expressed do not necessarily represent those of Emerging Franchise Brands, its host Frank Fiume, or Emerging Franchise Group, LLC. Any discussed franchise or investment opportunity requires thorough investigation, obtaining proper disclosure documents, and expert consultation before making any investment decisions. The podcast and its host do not offer professional advice or endorsements, and they hold no responsibility for actions, representations, accuracy, or consequential damages related to the podcast content.